To me, tripe is what best represents the cucina povera in Italian cuisine. Put simply, that's just peasant food, and it's essential to Italian cooking. Tripe is as peasant as it gets. It's an off-cut, and it's something that's very cheap. Welcome to Actually Italian. I'm Sal, and I'm on a mission to help you cook authentic regional Italian cuisine. Tripe is cooked in different ways all over Italy. Where I am in the Northeast, it's cooked a lot differently than it is in Sicily, for example. And today we're actually going to cook it Sicilian style with potatoes. That's the way I grew up eating it, so it really reminds me of my childhood. So let's get started with the ingredients. So I want to go over what tripe actually is. This is what tripe looks like when you get it from the supermarket. It's already processed, it's already cleaned, and it's even pre-cooked. That takes all the hassle out of this for you. You'd never find fresh tripe to be able to do yourself anyway, and even if you could, you wouldn't want to do it. So I've been eating tripe my whole life. I've never cooked it from raw. I've never done it that way. You have to really know what you're doing, and it's almost impossible to find in that form anyway. So this is going to make it a good entry point for people that have never made it before. Tripe is one of the 4 stomachs of the cow. Each one has different characteristics, but this one is white, it's very mild, it has kind of a funny texture on the inside. Sometimes it can look like honeycomb, sometimes it's a little bit kind of fuzzy like that. It doesn't have that organ meat flavor. So full disclosure, I love the idea of snout to tail cooking, and that's essential in Italian cuisine. But I don't love certain organs. I'm not a big liver eater. I'm not a big kidney eater. They just have a strong flavor that's just not for me. So if you're like that too, and you do want to start being a little more adventurous about some of the meats that we eat, then this is a great entry point into doing that. Not only because it's easy to cook, but it has that mild flavor. The whole dish starts with a flavorful foundation, because tripe is one of those ingredients that it takes on the flavors of the things that it's cooked with. So we want to start with a lot of flavor. So we've got our classic Soffritto, which is carrot, celery, onion. And we're also going to add some parsley stems here, because we don't want to throw anything away. Again, this is poverty cuisine, so these are going to go into the Soffritto. Another thing we've got is some meat stock that I made the other day for another dish, and I didn't have that much of it left, so I'm going to use it in this dish. But I normally wouldn't use a meat stock because it can easily overpower the flavor of the tripe. Usually I use a vegetable stock. But since it's not that much and I didn't want to have it sit around for too long, I decided I'm going to use it in this dish today. I'm going to start out with the Soffritto that's been pulsed up to kind of a fine texture here to kind of get the foundation of the sauce going. Just want to get it in some olive oil over about a medium heat. I'm using a cast iron pot here, my trusty cast iron. It's a little beat up, but it still gets the job done. You can use whatever medium-sized saucepan that you like. I like cast iron just because it cooks things so evenly. So I'm going to season that with just a little bit of salt to get these to start sweating. All right, this is about what we're looking for here. It's been about 5 minutes and everything's kind of translucent and basically all the liquids evaporated there, so we're ready to start moving on with the rest of the ingredients. By the way, if you need the printable recipe of this with all the ingredients, then in the description I've got a link to the full recipe. So first we're going to add some tomato paste. This is a triple concentrated, just a little bit. We don't need a ton. This isn't a tomato-based sauce. It just has tomato in it. And I like to cook this first before I add the liquid, because it really intensifies the flavor. You don't need to do it for long because we don't want to burn it. It can burn fast. But once you start to smell kind of like a coppery aroma, like metallic almost, which is right now, then we're going to add some white wine. that wine is going to bring some nice acidity that's going to help balance this whole dish out, so it's not super rich. So we're just going to cook that for probably 30 seconds, a minute, until it all evaporates. So this is about what we're looking for. All the alcohol's evaporated. It's almost like a syrup. So we can start adding the other liquids now. So I'm going to go in with that meat stock there, add some water. And we want to put some herbs in. We've got a bay leaf and some dried sage. I'm just going to kind of break the sage up there, kind of tear it up and sprinkle that in so we don't have big leaves. Then we're going to add the tripe right to the pot. We haven't added any salt yet except in the Soffritto, because this is going to cook for a while. We don't want to over season this. So I need a little bit more water than that, because we're going to add some potatoes to this in about 15 or 20 minutes, and that'll be too thick if we don't have more liquid there. So cover it about an inch over the top. We might need to add more liquid later, but we'll see. So we'll let this go for about 20 minutes, then we'll come back with some nice potatoes. All right, I've got this on a gentle simmer. It's been going for about 15 minutes now, so this is when I want to add the potatoes. I like them in big chunks like that because it's going to cook for a while longer, and I don't want them to break down and turn into mush. I want them to maintain their shape like that. They have a nice meaty texture. Also, the reason why I didn't put these in the beginning is because if we cook it for too long, they're gonna break down. It's gonna change the texture of the broth. So since this is an hour-long cooking, I only want to cook the potatoes for about 40 minutes or so. Yeah, sorry, we're in the Italian countryside here, so that was a tractor going by there. This is gonna be about another 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so before it's done. And then we'll season. There's a lot of different ways to make tripe, and this one in particular is Sicilian style, so it has the potatoes, it's a little brothy. This is how I grew up eating it. My father was from Sicily, so we used to eat this all the time when I was a kid, and this is exactly how I grew up with it. And if you go to Sicily, you'll find something very similar. Obviously, everybody has their own recipe though, but this was how we did it. I do also really like Roman style. I'll make that in another video, where it's more tomato based and a little bit thicker. It's not quite as brothy, and it doesn't have the potatoes. That one's also really good. I think I'm all set to go here. I've got my crusty bread, I've got my rustic red, and I'm gonna dig in. I love this, but I think the people that don't like tripe, I don't think it's so much the flavor because it's very mild. I think it's the texture. It's very soft. In fact, some people think it's going to be rubbery, like rubber bands. It's not. This is it's very soft and tender. So that's probably what throws some people off. My other favorite thing about this is the potato. I almost don't even need the tripe because the potato really absorbs all the flavors. It's nice and meaty. It's got that great creaminess. These are yellow potatoes, so Yukon Gold, something like that would work really well in this. Tripe is really healthy. It's very, very good for you. It's loaded with protein. It's loaded with B12, selenium. It's got a lot of things that we need. If you really are looking for something that seems a little adventurous but actually isn't very adventurous, then give tripe a try. I think you're actually going to be surprised with how much you enjoy it. Cheers.